Alright, so let's get into it. In this video, I'm going to show you how I took this photo with my camera phone, what I was thinking, how I composed it, and translated it into this photo. This is a really nice view right here. I have the cornfield going down the hill, and I do have the fog behind it. Now, there's nothing that really stands out as a main subject, but I really like the light and the ambiance, so I think I can create the sun and the light as the main subject and use the rest of it to kind of enhance the rest of the image. If I want to get some of the cornfield in, because these stalks are too high, I might not be able to actually get any detail there. So I think I need to go either a little bit higher, or I have to move a little bit closer so I'm a little bit further at the point where the hill starts to go down instead, and then take a photo from there. Oh yeah, this is much better. And I'm going to try and reduce the exposure a little bit because I do want to get a lot of the details in the light, and I think I can get some of the details back in the shadows as well. I'm going to try and position the beginning of the crop on the bottom right so that there is a nice diagonal line leading from that. Okay, so now that we're back, let's start editing this photo. This is actually an interesting composition because I think it's one that a lot of us are very familiar with. We see this brilliant sky, we see this really grand landscape in front of us, and we want to take a photo of it. But it doesn't end up nearly as good as what we actually envisioned. The process starts with the composition when you're out taking the photo, but it has to end with being able to edit it correctly. Before I even get started, I want to really bring out the colors in the foreground and in the midground. I think the field is a little bit too dark, and I want to bring out a little bit more of the highlights in the sky. So let's start off with that. Let's start off with the temperature. I think the temperature is actually pretty okay. I'm not going to touch that much right now. Let's work on the exposure. Now, if I bring up the exposure too much, I'm going to blow out the highlights. Let's actually bring the exposure down, and we'll bring out some of the details later. All right, contrast doesn't really help me that much. Maybe a little bit. Highlights, I want to decrease that to bring out some of the details. I'll bring up the shadows a little bit so I can see some of the details there. White, let's increase the whites a little bit because I still want to have some of the details in the clouds. I'll reduce the blacks a little bit, but I want to actually end up using the curve. Let's raise some of the blacks and bring that down a little bit. I think that's good for now. I want to bring up more detail in the field, so let's see. Let's go with trying to increase the luminance. As I increase the luminance, I see that the sky is also being affected, which is not what I want. I want only the field to be affected, and I can also start to see a lot more of this black line artifact be introduced. Maybe I don't do that too much right now. Let's see if I can use masking to help with that instead. So let's invert that and bring it down a little bit. I'll increase the exposure a little bit there. Increasing the contrast as well. Highlight. I want to increase the shadows too much because there isn't that much light when I saw this field, so I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll reduce the blacks a little bit. I want to increase the clarity maybe. The haze, no, I don't want that too much. Alright, I think that should be good for this mask. So that was without the mask, that's with the mask. I think it helps bring that out a little bit more. Let's see if I can draw the attention. So I'll add a radial gradient here. So let's reduce the exposure a little bit. Let's see if I can intersect that with the sky. Alright, so what I want to do here is maybe add a little bit more dehaze. Maybe reduce the clarity a little bit. Reduce the texture, exposure, increase the exposure just a teeny tiny bit. As for all the edits so far, this was before, this is after. I would still want to really increase the details in the field. Alright, I think that actually looks much better. So, before, after. And I think that's it. I'm not gonna do anything with it. I really like how the corner starts with the edge of this field and that kind of guides the viewer into it. Now, because it's a phone, I'm still going to have some form of the black line edge sharpness here, but there's not much I can do about that because of the quality of the phone camera. And because I'm going to be sharing this on my phone more so than on a large format print, it doesn't really matter that much. And if you want to learn more about how to create beautiful photos with your smartphone, check out this video here, as well as this playlist over here. And remember to subscribe so you get notified when I make more videos like this, where I go over my thought process of both taking the photo and editing it with just my phone. All right, see you next time.